Today, we're headed to one of the most legendary and notorious places in the world, Alcatraz. This place has held some of the most dangerous criminals in history, had some crazy escape attempts, and it's even rumored to be haunted. Now, can you imagine being a prisoner here, looking at San Francisco just across the water, knowing you will never ever set foot there again? Now that's what made Alcatraz so brutal. You could see freedom, but you could never ever touch it. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Now Alcatraz has been called inescapable, a fortress of concrete, steel and isolation sitting right in the middle of San Francisco Bay. And today we're going to go inside and explore its secrets, its infamous inmates, and of course the greatest prison escape in American history. And this, guys, is the Alcatraz landing, and all the cruises to Alcatraz thing leaves from here. Okay, so let's go inside and check in. Okay, we are checked in and ready to go, folks. They do have a couple of miniature displays here. The actual ones are actually in Alcatraz, so let me show you what those are. This is about the Indian occupiers, and we'll see more on this once we get off at Alcatraz, and you will see the actual structure there. And then you guys can kind of pause and read what's written there. And then we also have a miniature version of the actual Alcatraz Island, the prison. And they've done a really great job with this little miniature Alcatraz here. It looks so realistic. And there's a couple of signs here also that gives you more information about Alcatraz and where everything is situated on the island. And that way you can read and get yourself familiarized with where everything is situated once you get to Alcatraz. Then they also have a little howitzer cannon here, a display, and they actually have the real thing in the island, and you will see that as we get there. Okay, so let's just jump on the ferry, the Alcatraz Flyer. So guys, there's only one tour operator that operates the ferry, which is the Alcatraz City Cruises. So you can go to the website and book the ferry that you want. So they are the only tour operator to Alcatraz. Okay, this looks like a pretty spacious ferry, so let's go upstairs and see what we can find. It looks pretty open, and it's pretty windy out here, so let's go inside and maybe find a place to sit. Yeah, I think right in the front of the boat would give us a good view. Now, before it became a prison, Alcatraz had a different purpose. In the 1850s, the U.S. military actually built a fortress here, armed with cannons to protect the San Francisco Bay. But by the early 1900s, it was no longer a stronghold, so it was a prison, and a prison like no other. Now, for nearly 30 years, no man was supposed to have broken free from Alcatraz, but in 1962, 3 inmates vanished into the night, leaving behind only a hole in the wall and a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. And we'll take a deeper dive into that as we get into Alcatraz. Now we are approaching the ferry dock, and so we should be getting out of here in a second. Now, stepping off the ferry, folks, you can already feel how isolated this place is. No cars, no civilization, just an old prison surrounded by freezing water and deadly currents. Now imagine being a prisoner here, knowing that the city is right there, but totally out of reach. Now check this out. This sign says Indians welcome. Back in 1960, after Alcatraz shut down, the native Indians or the native Indian activists actually occupied this island for like 19 months to protest for their indigenous rights. So even after its days as a prison, this place still has a rebellious spirit. Look at that. That's a nice looking car. Okay, I think that's a Chevy. I'm not sure what model that is. So if anybody out there that knows what model this is, if you could put it in the comments, that'd be great. And that's a howitzer cannon. We saw a replica of that when we checked in at the ferry terminal. And we came from all the way down there, and basically this is a pretty nice hike all the way up to the prison, or the prison entrance. Okay, so now we are at the main cell house entrance, so let's go ahead and go in and see what's in there. And as you come in, this is where the prisoners are brought in first. They turn in their belongings, and then they collect their prison uniforms, their bedding and mattresses and pillows. And after that, you come to a little shower area, a communal shower. So this is where all the prisoners took their showers. They do have an audio tour here, and up ahead is where you actually pick up the equipment for that. Okay, and this is exactly where the tour starts. And as you can see, we have some of the officers and some of the inmates here that are actually, narrate on the audio tour. And these are the different cells. There's 3 levels, as you can see. And let's kind of see if we can look at a little cell. These cells are tiny, only 5 feet wide by 9 feet deep. That's smaller than a parking space. Now this is what a prisoner got: 1 bed, 1 toilet, and 1 sink, and no privacy. And if you broke these rules, you lost everything: books, visitors, even sunlight. The recreation yard offered rare freedom for the prisoners. Some chose to play baseball, others ran laps, others just, walked to the top of the bleachers and looked out and saw what they're missing. Alright, let's talk about some of the legendary criminals who lived here. First up, we had Al Capone, the infamous Chicago mob boss, the guy who controlled an empire of crime, bribery, and murder. Here, he was just inmate 85. Then there was Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. He spent 42 years in prison. Even though Hollywood made him famous for raising birds, he never actually had birds here. That part was made up. Then there was Machine Gun Kelly, who hated his nickname. And there was Alvin Creepy Carpus, the longest serving inmate, 26 years behind these bars. This is D Block. Penitentiary within a penitentiary. And speaking of punishments, D Block was where they put the worst of the worst. Even Alcatraz had levels of punishment, and if you were in here, you really had no hope. This is the hole. Basically, they had no windows, no lights, and some inmates were locked in here for weeks. Some say it drove them crazy. Look at that. This was where they were put in, and now just imagine complete darkness here. Now they say the worst part wasn't the isolation, it was the sound. And then at night, prisoners could hear laughing and people laughing in San Francisco, the music, and just reminded them of the life they'd never have again. Depressing, right guys? Now I don't know if you guys believe in ghosts, but Alcatraz has some weird stories. Guards have reported hearing footsteps, whispers, even actually screams from empty cells. Some say the spirit of prisoners are still trapped here. And in the dead of the night, some even claimed to see ghosts of prisoners still wandering these halls. Yeah, let's keep moving. We are now walking into the library area. Now, because they were physically confined, most prisoners actually sought mental escape through these books. Literate convicts are supposed to have read about 75 to 100 books a year. There's about 15,000 volumes of books in the library, or there were, and the subjects included philosophy, fiction, and educational material. As you walk out of the library, you come to 2 little windows, and these were the only 2 windows that you could look out and see the outside world or have a glimpse of what was going on outside. This is the visitation area, and prisoners were brought here if they had any visitors, and they would sit right here and talk to whoever it was on the other side. They were not allowed to have actual physical contact. Now, 36 men tried to escape Alcatraz. Most were caught, some were shot, and a few drowned in the bay. But one escape still haunts this island. The night 3 men vanished into the darkness, leaving behind a mystery that endures to this day. Alright, folks, time for the biggest mystery, the escape of June 11, 1962. Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers pulled off the impossible. They dug through the walls with spoons, freaking spoons, hid the hole with fake cardboard vents, and while the guys thought they were asleep at night, they were climbing the roof and making their way down the water. And as you can see, you can actually see the vent that they went through. Then they paddled away on a makeshift raft, stitched together with raincoats. Now the government says they drowned, their bodies were never found. And then years later, the Anglin family received a mysterious letter. "I'm alive and well," it read. Could it be real? Some say yes, others say it's a hoax. But to this day, the fate of these men remain one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries. And now we are entering the dining area. A fun fact about food here at Alcatraz is that it was surprisingly good for a prison. The philosophy was that well-fed inmates were less likely to riot. Now, the menu often included fresh baked bread, spaghetti, meat, and even holiday meals like turkey on Thanksgiving. And the kitchen, and that's what you're seeing right now, was a high security zone. The kitchen was located next to the dining hall and had strict security measures. All knives and sharp tools were stored in a locker cabinet with painted outlines to track if any were missing, and prisoners worked as kitchen staff under the guard supervision, where it was considered a privileged job. And as we exit the prison, we come to the customary bookshop or gift shop. Let's look around and see what we can find. Looks like they have a variety of items here. And I do have this habit of collecting fridge magnets, so let's go see what we can find. And this is what we got, guys. What do you think? And as we exit the prison, apparently there's a lighthouse on the other side, so let's go ahead and check that out. It's supposed to be a beautiful viewpoint out there, so let's go towards that lighthouse. Alright, look at that view, guys. Beautiful. That's right across the bay. And you have the warden's house here to the left, or what is really left of it is just a shell now. And then see that beautiful, gorgeous view across the bay. And as you look across the bay, you may think, oh, that's not very far. That seems pretty close. Well, Alcatraz Island is about 1.25 miles from downtown San Francisco, specifically from Pier 33, which is where you get on the ferry. Now, if you were to swim it, it would take about 35 to 50 minutes, depending on currents and water temperature. And a ferry ride takes about approximately 15 minutes from Pier 33 to Alcatraz. Now, the strong currents, the cold water, usually about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and occasional shocks make escaping nearly impossible for most prisoners. So what do you think? Was Alcatraz really inescapable, or was it just another fortress waiting to be broken? Let me know in the comments, guys. Would you have tried to escape? Anyway, that's it from me for today. Hit that like button, subscribe for more adventures, and I'll see you guys in the next one.